Hi, I'm Felicia.
And I'm like, do we really have to present ourselves every time?
Because
Like,
not.
at this point, shouldn't people know who the hell we are?
But it's the format.
I know it's the format, but anyways, I'm Giancarlo, as
I'm
if
Felicia.
you didn't know.
That's Luca.
Luca's in back of it. He should present
He
himself.
should one day.
One day we'll tilt the camera
Camera the other way.
and see all the...
Not today.
Not today. And this is our review of...
Dungeon Dwellers.
That is right.
They dwell in the
And-
dungeon?
Yes.
Hot people on the covers. This is what we like to see. Sexiness, 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 sexiness.
That's what she likes to see. I mean, it's all
Look.
about gameplay. Speaking of rare,
What?
your kitty cat.
Oh, my cat scratched me.
Rare. There's the expansion, the barbarian class.
So what does that do?
Just different abilities. So he's more barbaric. Because that's what a barbarian is. Dungeon Dwellers, though it states as a cooperative game, is actually a semi-co-op in which players take on the role of different classes to form a fantasy adventuring party. In the box you'll get 4 hero cards. Each player will choose one, being either the fighter, mage, rogue, or cleric, and grabs the listed cards they begin with from the energy deck. 100 energy cards. Each player will choose the recommended starting cards for first play use, like we'll do here for our review. 56 common cards. Again, each player will take the 2 recommended one for the first play. Shuffle these together with your energy cards to form a deck. 4 health tracker, which you'll give to each player, and they'll mark it as 10 per their character's starting health. 50 monster cards, in which you'll start by placing a random face-down boss card. Place 4 random level 3 cards on top of that for a 4-player game, and then repeat the process for level 2 and level 1. 25 exploration cards. Take the recommended ones for your first game, shuffle them, and place them face down to form the exploration deck. 50 wounds experience tokens in denomination of 1s for reds and 5s for blues. 72 gold cards, which you'll shuffle and place to form a face down deck. And 8 10-sided dice used for marking armor durability. Each player rolls 1, and the highest is the starting player. You're now ready for adventure. Defeat the boss, and the player with the most gold wins. But have any player with no energy or health left, and you lose.
Turn of sequence is as follows. Start of turn, hero phase, monster phase, and treasure phase. For better understanding of gameplay, we'll skip the first phase and go to the hero phase, where some steps need to be taken. Exploration is the first step here. When no monsters are present in the room, the active player will flip over the top card of the exploration deck. This represents a room or trap that needs to be resolved. Once so, place a number of monsters in that room equal to the number of players. So all of the level 1 cards should be here. Now, the active player must select a monster. When doing so, place a number of wound experience tokens near it to equal the monster's health. If a player reveals a monster, they must attack it with a weapon attack, which brings us to the next step. A hero must attack it with either a range or melee weapon. Your hero's starting card will have both of these weapons with a list of damage they do. Any abilities that affect the weapon must be played now. If you choose to, some might require energy. You can then spend energy to affect this damage as well. To spend energy, simply discard face up the top card of your deck in your discard pile. This will increase the damage to 1 per card spent as such. Note that some abilities have a cost for this energy to be spent written on their lower right corner. You can also spend energy to heal 1 point of health per card spent this way. Getting back to damage, some monsters will have some resistance to certain damage types. Once calculated, remove the amount of damage counters from the monster and keep them for yourself. You've now earned that much experience points. Regardless if you defeated the monster or not, it will now attack as if the combat took place simultaneously.
Which brings us to the third phase, monster phase. Monsters have 4 types of attacks: special, ranged, melee, and unblockable. The numbers beside this is how much damage they do. Your hero will also have numbers on their cards, and this is the resistance to this damage. All monsters attacked by the active hero will do all their damage to it, except melee damage. The monster will only perform this attack if you used a melee weapon on it in the previous phase. When you take damage, you can remove it from your health, or you can spend an energy to decrease that damage by 1 per energy spent. Should you defeat a monster, we move on to the last phase, treasure phase. First, the hero who has removed that last wound on the monster gets to keep that card in their gold pile. This will earn him extra gold points for the end game as listed on the bottom right corner. It's important to note that all gold acquired is kept face down, secret from other players. Next, beginning with the active player and going around the table, players can exchange their experience token for effects. Then exchange 5 XPs to gain the top card of the energy deck as treasure, exchange 5 XPs for the top card of the gold pile, exchange 10 XPs to collect any card in the discard as treasure, or discard 2 face down treasure or any 1 treasure and 5 XPs for any card in their discard. Gold goes in your gold pile. Treasures, on the other hand, you can choose to keep face down or to equip it on your hero, giving him extra abilities or equipment. Now, let's get back to the first phase we skipped, start of turn. The start of turn allows the active player to place one of their treasures face up as if it were a treasure phase. The reason why you might want to do this is that armor will start taking damage, as it absorbed it instead of you. This will be marked with these counters as such. Your hero can only equip 1 armor, 1 shield, and 1 weapon. So you can save these as treasure and then equip it by replacing the old battered armor or shield. This will get you ready for your coming turn. In this phase, after the hero effects have taken place, monster effects will also apply. For example, any monster with attack first ability will trigger here.
If any hero has their health and no energy to expend, all players lose. If you defeat the last boss, we move on to the scoring round. Simply take all your gold, total their value up, and add the total from the defeated monsters. Then, subtract 10 gold for each point below your maximum starting health. The player with the most gold points wins.
First thing you'll notice about Dungeon Dwellers is the great cover art. It's also got that goodness on the cards themselves. Components are good stock and the beads and dice are a nice touch. We did, however, have a problem with the rulebook. There were a lot of assumptions taken that even ourselves as gamers kind of had to figure out. For example, there's no mention that you actually take the monster's wounds as XPs. First time playing, we placed them back in a pool. Sure, we figured it out afterwards, but non-gamers who bought this as their first game might have a lot of problems with these rules. Other things that weren't clear was this boss we encountered in one of our games, Naglfar. It says the hero that defeats it gets 1 additional treasure. That doesn't make sense since it's the end game. You can't exchange these treasure cards for gold cards. What's the point of making your character stronger if it's the end game? Was it supposed to be a gold card you get? Going back to non-gamers, I do think Dungeon Dwellers would be a nice gateway game for them. It's simple enough once you understand the rules, and does offer some long-term strategy with how you want to equip your hero with short-term tactics. These include if you want to defeat a monster to gain the XPs and the monster's gold value, or leave it there with almost no health left to give another players less XPs but lure him in fighting that monster if the gold value is low. Sure, there's a luck factor from monsters, gold, rooms, and traps drawn to what cards go into your discard when spending energy. We liked the game except for the fact that it was a semi-co-op. I actually think this game would have worked better solely as competitive. The reason behind this is that any hero can go nuts with their energy and then count on the cleric to heal them since they don't want to lose. The cleric does get some XPs out of it, but that other player also gets the health back to offset that minus 10 gold point at the end of the game. Personally, I would rather have seen this as a competitive game, where if someone dies because they mismanaged their energy, they are eliminated. This would also alleviate the problem that it was too easy, but you can easily play the game solely competitively, which brings us to our next pro, customization. We all did like the fact that the game is customizable when creating energy decks and has lots of random monsters and rooms. These elements add a lot to replay value. This Barbarian expansion adds to this with new abilities and a chance to play the game with 5 players. Knowing how to play the game well shouldn't take more than 45 minutes to an hour, which is perfect as a filler in between games if you want to get your daily dose of fantasy adventuring. We give Dungeon Dwellers 6.5 out of 10.